Manipulation has one requirement: your visible reaction. The moment that reaction disappears, the leverage weakens. This isn't about withdrawal or avoidance. It's about reframing silence as non-participation. And that changes everything. Manipulators operate on predictability. They read your verbal and nonverbal feedback to calibrate their next move. Every reaction you give, whether it's defensiveness, fear, or even agreement, supplies them with timing and control. Silence interrupts that feedback loop without creating conflict. It's restraint functioning as a psychological boundary, and when used consistently, it dismantles the architecture of manipulation itself. 1. Delayed response. Delay your response. Manipulation depends on immediate feedback. When someone expects you to react quickly, to defend yourself, to comply, to engage, a pause disrupts that expectation entirely. It breaks their rhythm. They've calculated pressure based on timing, and when you don't respond on cue, they're forced to recalibrate. This isn't about ignoring them, it's about refusing to operate on their timeline. The delay itself becomes the message. 2. Neutral facial expression. Maintain a neutral facial expression. Your face gives away more than your words. Manipulators scan for micro-expressions: agreement, fear, frustration, uncertainty. When your face remains neutral, you eliminate the emotional data they're mining for leverage. They can't tell if you're affected, if you're resisting, or if you're considering their angle. That uncertainty forces them to operate blind, and without that feedback, their approach loses precision. 3. Minimal verbal acknowledgement. Use minimal verbal acknowledgement. Short, unreactive phrases like, "I see," "got it," or "noted." Signal that you're present without engaging the substance of what's being said. This removes conversational hooks. It gives them nothing to reframe, nothing to bait you with, nothing to escalate. You're not arguing, you're not justifying, you're simply closing the door to further manipulation without slamming it. 4. Consistent pace. Maintain a consistent pace. Manipulators rely on urgency. They create pressure by accelerating the conversation, pushing you to decide or react or comply faster than you're comfortable with. When you refuse to speed up, when your tone, your speech, and your body language remain steady regardless of their intensity, you reclaim the control of the tempo. You're no longer being pulled into their current, you're setting your own. 5. Non-explanation. Don't explain yourself. Every explanation you offer is material they can distort, challenge, or use against you. Manipulators thrive on justification traps. They ask why, not because they care, but because your reasoning gives them leverage. When you stop explaining, you shrink the surface area they can manipulate. A simple, "that doesn't work for me," or "I'm not available," requires no elaboration. And the less you say, the less they have to work with. 6. Selective attention. Apply selective attention. Not everything deserves a response. When you withhold attention from manipulative cues, loaded questions, guilt trips, passive-aggressive remarks, you stop reinforcing those behaviors. You're not pretending they didn't happen, you're choosing not to give them weight. Over time, this recalibrates the dynamic. The manipulator learns which behaviors get acknowledgement and which disappear into silence. That alone shifts the balance. 7. Predictable boundaries. Establish predictable boundaries. Manipulation becomes inefficient when it encounters consistency. If your boundaries are clear and you enforce them the same way every time, the manipulator can't find gaps to exploit. They can't test, probe, or escalate effectively because your response is already known. This isn't rigidity, it's reliability. And when manipulation stops working, the manipulator either adjusts or disengages. Either way, you win. Control stabilizes when participation is reduced. Silence, used strategically, isn't absence, it's structure. When you stop feeding the feedback loop, manipulation loses its foundation. It can't adapt to what it can't read. And over time, your consistency becomes the new framework. Not louder, not weaker, just unmovable. That's how you outsmart them, not by fighting harder, but by participating less.